All right, guys, first game of Fistful of Lead, Horse and Musket, second edition. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes in this, but go ahead and call them out. Let me know what I can improve for this first battle report. In any case, I want to talk about the two detachments that I have here. For the British, we have Second Lieutenant Barnaby. He has traits Leader, Flurry of Blows, Fancy Footwork, and Gentleman. Then his second is Sergeant Guy with Specialist, which allows him to take a rifle, Sprinter, and Eagle-Eyed. Next up, we have Percy, who has the Stealthy trait, Roscoe, who has the Determined trait, and finally, Lloyd, who has the Brawler trait. On the French side, we have Lieutenant Matisse Blanchet. He has Leader, Determined, Fearsome, Appearance, and Medic. And then his second is Corporal Bertrand, Specialist, Eagle-Eyed, Ranger. We have Laurent, who is Eagle-Eyed. We have Toussaint, who is a Sniper. And then finally, we have Moreau, who is an Infiltrator. So those are my two detachments. We're going to go ahead and go to turn one. All right, guys, first game of Fistful of Lead, Horse and Musket, second edition. This is pretty much just a learning game for me, so I'm going to get a lot of things wrong here. Go ahead and point out what I get wrong in the comments below, and hopefully we're just going to have a bunch of fun. So, obviously, for those who are not initiated with Fistful of Lead, the main turn mechanics are based on poker cards or playing cards. Anybody that has kings and below, depending on the round, will be able to act before the opponent. And again, that gets a little bit more complicated if there are special cards. In this game, I'm just going to do a simple playthrough. I'll do a full first and second turn, just as I'm starting to learn the mechanics. And then as we continue along, depending on how many turns I decide to go with this learning game, we'll speed up the gameplay so that you guys aren't sitting through like the full turn. So in any case, I've drawn the 5 cards. So you get a card per miniature that you have in each detachment. Obviously, as miniatures die throughout the game, you will only be able to draw as many cards as figures you have remaining in your detachment. Right now, it's 5 for the British, 5 for the French. Normally, you'll have somebody who calls out the card during the turn, which dictates the flow of the game. Because I'm playing solo, I'm just going to show you the suit of cards that I have. The top suit up there, or the top 5 cards, are the British, and the second row here are the French. Obviously, having suited cards like the King, Queen, and so on and so forth are better because it allows you to act earlier in the turn with your miniatures. So at this point, you would call out kings, and whoever has kings would be able to start off the turn and move one of their miniatures, and then so on and so forth. At this point, because the French have kings, I'm going to go ahead and pick a miniature to move, to act, and that's 2 actions per figure during that activation. All right, so I'm actually not playing a specific scenario. I mean, the closest that this map table would align with is the farm battle one, but I'm not going to do that scenario. Certain special abilities or traits that are on your figures. For example, my French guy, Musketeer Moreau, or Line Infantry, has Infiltrator. So for Infiltrator, once the scenario is defined, then I can take that figure and move it 10 inches onto the map, which is what I'm going to do now. So again, Infiltrator keyword, once the scenario is defined, starting positions, you may immediately move 10 in any direction. So this is Moreau, one of my Voltigeur here, and I'm going to measure out 10 from this side of the board. And what's neat about that is that it's basically a free movement. So I'm going to get Moreau from the edge of the board just to come up to about right there. So that's even before he takes any action. So I'm going to, during his activation, which I'm going to be doing now, I have to take 2 actions. And I think just to get things a little spicy, a little bit started a little bit sooner, I'm actually going to do a double move with him. So each activation or each action has certain things that you can do. For example, you can shoot and move and shoot. But because this is black powder era, you'll need to take a full activation, basically 2 actions to reload the following turn. So just keep that in mind. Let me get my quick start rules here. So we're going to move him. He's going to walk 10 inches. So walk. So for movement, a sneak is 3 inches, which obviously adds more difficulty to shooting at that person that has sneaked. Walk is 5 inches, and if any of my figures were mounted, they would have a movement of 8. So Moreau is just going to move 5, and then another 5 basically to this wall right there. And that's it for that particular activation. Based on the cards that I drew, I would now call queens. And because the French, again, have queens and the British don't, then I'm going to go ahead and activate another one of my figures on the French side. And we're actually going to go, we are going to go with the second, basically the officer or NCO of this particular squad, Corporal Bertrand. He's going to be one of these guys right here. So Corporal Bertrand has a couple keywords. He's a specialist. I did not arm him with any specialist weapons. He's armed with only a musket. But he also has eagle-eyed and ranger. So it would behoove me to get him up the board in a position where he can shoot clearly at the British once they start getting on the board. So I'm going to have Bertrand, Corporal Bertrand, move up. Well, I want to get him up the board as quickly as possible. So we're going to do the first action as a 5-inch walk, and then another 5-inch walk right there. So that's it for that. So next, I would call jacks. And there aren't any jacks, so I'm going to call 10s. And because we have a 10 here on the British side, they can finally do an activation. Let's figure out what we're going to do. I'll just place the camera right here. And I think perhaps I'm going to have Sergeant Guy, who's the second, the NCO basically for the British. We're going to have him do an action, but so his keywords are specialist. I did end up giving him a rifle, so it'll be, you get these guys off the board here. Be this guy right here. He's rifleman. So he has specialist, giving him the rifle. He has sprinter and eagle-eyed. So the sprinter keyword, let's find out what that is. He gets 3-inch free movement a turn. This is free of any other actions you take. You can take an aim shot and still move 3. So he gets to move 3 inches, and then his 2 actions for his activation. He also has, what does he have here? Eagle-eyed. So the eagle-eyed keyword, increase weapons short range by 2 and long range by 4. So basically, because we're just trying to get people on the board here, I'm going to have him do his 3-inch free movement, and then another 10, so that brings us up to 13. And we are going to put him right there. So that's it for his activation. We're going to move on to the next one. That's 9s now, so that's another French action. So I'm going to have Laurent, who has the eagle-eyed keyword, move up onto the board. In fact, we're just going to do a double move with Laurent, which is basically 10 inches. And I'm going to move him up from this position here. Hopefully you guys are seeing this on camera. Let me see. Sorry, I know this initial turn is going to be a little boring because I'm just positioning the figures onto the board, but hopefully by turn 2 we're going to start having some action here. Okay, so Laurent moved. He did a double move up to the road there. And now we're going to go to 8s, which will be the British. I think we will have Percy, who is stealthy. So stealthy, the stealthy keyword is -1 to be hit if target of shooting. This does stack with creeping. So he is going to probably just do a double move like everybody else. I'm going to have Percy move up 10. We'll make this guy Percy. I'm just going to move him up 10 here to kind of support Sergeant Guy. So now we're going to go to 7s, which is the British. So we will now have Roscoe, who has the determined keyword, and determined is you ignore shock and wounds penalties in close combat. So nothing that will help him with the movement. Again, we're going to have him do a double move as well. We'll have him just come up this way, and the trees will be blocking line of sight. Next we have 6s, and that's another French move. So we're going to have the last guy that I did move, Toussaint, who is a sniper. So sniper keyword, let's take a look at that. Once per turn, you may re-roll a shoot roll. So that's pretty good. So he's just going to do a double move as well. I'm actually going to have him move to behind the wall right there. So I really need a better way of marking these characters so I know who's who. All right, so we've done 6s. Now we're doing 5s, which is British. We're going to have the last guy here, who is Lloyd. We're going to have Lloyd come up. He's a brawler, so he's going to be a close combat guy. Again, double move right there. And then we're going to go to 4s, which will be the final French activation for the turn. That'll be my officer, who is Lieutenant Matisse Blanchet. Again, he's got quite a few keywords. In fact, he's got leader, which gives +1 to any die roll for any of his detachment within 12 inches. He also has determined, fearsome appearance. So fearsome appearance actually, and any enemy that wants to attack you in close combat must first pass a regular 5-up task roll. Failure means they may not attack you but may choose another action. And then finally he has medic, so he can actually heal a wound on one of his wounded detachment. So again, we're going to have him double move. We're just going to have him move to behind the wall there. So that is pretty much it for turn 1. Again, it was just a matter of determining keywords and our initial actions. No shooting has happened yet. I'm thinking turn 2 we're going to actually start seeing some action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the cards for turn 2, and then we're going to see who gets to activate next. All right, top of turn 2. Basically just double moves for pretty much everybody. We had Moreau infiltrate 10 inches and then move again to that wall. He's going to be the closest and probably going to be the one that gets to fire first once his action happens. Drew the cards. Bad luck for the British. They did not get any of the kings, queens, and all that, but the French certainly did. That means that the French will be taking advantage of being able to activate first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up from here, and then we'll come back after movement. All right, guys, so I really need a better way of tracking who's who on my figures here, so I'll correct that for the next game. I want to talk about what actions I took. So I had the first 4 actions. I did 3 of them because I'm going to do the 4th one on camera. So I ended up moving, what's his name? I ended up moving Lieutenant Matisse Blanchet, my leader, into the stand of trees right here. I then ended up moving Laurent. I believe this is Laurent. I picked the guy with the pointed musket. He did a double move to there. Lieutenant Blanchet double move there. And then I had, who is this? Toussaint. Move up to there, double move from over here. So my 4th action is actually going to be Moreau, who is at this wall already, shooting through the stand of trees at one of the British there. I don't recall who it was. I'm going to have to do a review. I'll put a tag on the video of who he's shooting at. I really need to do something about that. So, yeah, we're going to shoot at that guy with the red base there because it is long range and I'm shooting through cover. So long range will be, I need an 8 up on a D10, and then I believe it is -1 in light. I'm going to consider that light cover. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me pinch zoom. So from the wall through the hedge and trees, I don't know if you guys consider that light cover. Let me know below. I'm going to consider it light cover, so it's -1. So I need to actually roll a 9 up in order to hit. So I think that's spade. I'm using Wild West Exodus D10s that I had lying around. I think that spade with the skull is a 10. Right, Moreau's lucky shot was not a wounding shot. So now, because I did hit, I'm going to roll on the wound table here. We'll see what we get. We get a 2. And Lloyd, the one with the red base, has been shaken. So he gets 1 shaken token. I don't have the tokens printed out. I'm just going to put it on his sheet. And then we're going to move on to the British. All right, since the British have the next 4 activations, I actually moved Sergeant Guy to the bridge there. He now has line of fire to Toussaint, I believe. And then I moved over Second Lieutenant Barnaby from over here. I didn't record his action because I forgot he was there. So I ended up double moving him to there last turn. And then on this turn, double move to behind the hedge. He cannot be seen behind the hedge, so he's pretty much safe. I then moved up, where is he? This guy, 5 inches. So 1 action, and then we're gonna shoot at Moreau. See if we can get a little bit of vengeance for shooting at Lloyd, the successful shot at Lloyd. So obviously 8 inch from the stand of trees to here. And Moreau is also behind heavy cover. So I'm gonna need a 10 up for that successful roll. And let me see if I can bring my, no, we'll just roll it on the table here. Need a 10 up and does not get it. So that's it for this guy right here. Next, I actually did a movement. I don't know if you can see him. He's right there for that guy. He's actually going to shoot at, we'll shoot at Moreau again. The British really just want to knock that guy out for shaking up their buddy Lloyd. So again, over 8 inches behind hard cover, we need a 10 up, and we don't get it. So the last action of the turn will be our buddy Lloyd here. All right, so Lloyd, who got hit in the last turn, is going to elect to do his activation as a rest to get rid of that that shaken token that he would have. So he can't do anything else for this activation. So we'll remove shaken from his stats, and then we have one more French movement Really, I'm just going to do a double action, double walk. So we're going to move this guy 1 and then there. Because elevation does require you to like do an inch or whatever modification to move through. So that's what that is. And that is pretty much it for turn 2. Status of the board. Wood was the only one that got hit, but he's now recovered. Everybody else is moving up the board to try to engage at a better distance. I think the fight's going to come down to right here between Sergeant Guy and who I believe is Toussaint. I'll have to figure it out, or Laurent. I'll just put the tag on who that guy is. And then, yeah, so we're going to go turn 3. I'm going to shuffle the cards up and we'll see who gets to activate first. All right, top of turn 3. This is our board. Got figures all over the place, just moving closer. So this time around, it looks like the British will have a distinct advantage. So we'll have the first activation be the British, followed by one of the French, and then followed by 2 activations from the British side, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have Sergeant Guy. Let's see if I can get it closer here. Sergeant Guy, right here, attack this person, this Frenchman. He does have line of sight. Well, at least I'm going to count it line of sight for purposes of the game. Again, this is a learning game, so I'm going to make a lot of mistakes here. So let me measure out. It still might be about 8 inches, right? Yeah, further than 8 inches. So it's still long, because obviously muskets are inaccurate. No cover, so clear line of sight. We're just going to need to roll an 8 up. Now, let me see if I can get this on camera where you guys can see it. So we need an 8 up. And nope, we don't get it. We get a 6 on that. So that's Sergeant Guy's activation. I am now going to activate this guy, who I believe is, if I can find my sheet, that is that Toussaint? I believe that's Toussaint, or it is Laurent. I'm going to call him Toussaint. If I mess that up, again, for the next game, I'm going to have these guys marked differently, so that'll be easier for me to remember who is who. But Toussaint has a sniper, which is actually going to be pretty devastating if I get that hitting. So again, the keyword sniper is once per turn, I may re-roll a shoot roll. So that's actually not bad. So again, we need an 8 up. I get a 7, so I'm going to re-roll that using sniper. And I get a spade, which is a 10. Wow. Okay, so now we're going to roll the wound, see what happens to Sergeant Guy. He gets a 7, which in the game means he is wounded. So Sergeant Guy, the NCO, has taken 1 wound. And we'll just mark that on his sheet. So that is kind of demoralizing for the British. All right, so next up we have 2 more British activations before the French activate again. We are going to have, let's see what we can do. I think they are seriously at a disadvantage because of all the terrain that I have here. The hedges are actually causing a problem for the British to have clear line of sight. Okay, so let me figure out who I want to have. So I think this guy, by what I call the outhouse, the small house, is Percy, who has stealthy. So stealthy again will make it difficult, make him difficult to be hit or targeted. -1 to be hit if target of shooting. So I'm going to move him up since he has stealthy. We're going to be a little bit more aggressive. We're going to double move. Now let's see, what should I double move? I really want to start getting up there, so we're going to double move Percy to the bridge right there. Now everybody can see him, but he does get -1 to be shot at, so that is, yeah, that was the activation. So the next activation, we're going to have Lloyd, the guy who got beamed in turn 1. He's going to move up for his first action. 5, right there. He does have line of sight, so let me show you. To those guys behind the wall, they're still behind heavy cover. So he's going to shoot. Again, more than 8 inches, plus behind cover, so I'm going to need spades, or 10. And that's a miss. Okay. So next up will be the French. We're going to have Moreau here. He's going to reload, so that's his entire action. And then we have another French activation. We're going to have Laurent here. That's Laurent, I believe. Is it Laurent? Or is that my... That's Corporal Bertrand. Okay, Corporal Bertrand has Eagle-Eyed. And again, increases weapons short range by 2 and long range by 4, which is actually quite good. So we're going to have Corporal Bertrand, the guy with the musket, aiming right there. He's going to fire at Lloyd through the hedges. Again, now it's 12-inch for long. It's still long, but yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But okay, so that means that I need an 8 up because he is through the hedge here. So let's see. And we get it. So let's see what the result is. It's a spade. So what I thought initially in turn 1 was Lloyd out of action is now Lloyd out of action because you got the 10. So Lloyd is now gone. That means 1 less activation for the British. Wow. What's his name? My Corporal Bertrand is quite the shot, but it's that eagle-eyed, I guess. Okay, so next up is another French activation. So these 2 have activated. Actually, these 3 have activated, right? Yeah. So we're going to have this guy. Who is that? That is... We're going to say that he is Toussaint. Did I do Toussaint already? Hold on. No, we did. This was Toussaint. This is Laurent. So he is also eagle-eyed. He's actually going to shoot at Percy right there, who is stealthy. So let me just get a better view for you guys. So Toussaint is going to shoot at Percy right there. Is that Percy? Yeah, Percy's stealthy. So obviously 8 inches. He's not in any cover, but I get -1, so I need to roll 9. And I roll an 8, so that's a miss. All right, at this point, we've had 4 of the French move. We have 2 more British activations. The British are next at 3. So we're going to have... Who is this? We'll have Roscoe. I'm sorry, guys. I'm assuming this is Roscoe right here by the copse of trees. He has determined, which again is what? Ignore shock and wound penalties in combat. Okay. We'll have Roscoe move up 5 and then he's going to fire. So, move him up to right there. Did I already do him? I didn't. Okay, we're going to have Roscoe fire at Moreau. That's the only guy that I know for sure. It is going to be long range and behind cover. So we need a 10 up. And that's a miss. All right, so final, is it the final activation? Let's see. So final French activation will be Lieutenant Blanchet. He is, well, I don't really want him to die. And you know, one thing that I keep forgetting is that 12-inch bubble to add +1 for the roll. So next time I play, we're going to do that. So he's armed with a sword and pistol. And the pistol, where is it? 6-inch short, 12-inch long. You know, I've been doing this wrong the whole time, guys. So 24-inch for the musket would make it long. I'll make sure to correct that for the next game, guys. So, okay, in any case, we are going to move up Lieutenant Blanchet to there. He's going to shoot his pistol. So pistol is 12-inch. And yeah, it's long. So no cover. Shooting his pistol. He an 8 up. And that's a miss. So last activation of turn 3 is going to be Second Lieutenant Barnaby, the leader of the British. This guy is a fancy gentleman. He has a lot of keywords that allow him to do better at close combat. So we're going to try to get him up the board here. So he's going to double move to behind. Who's that, Percy? Yeah, Percy. Also, I forgot Percy has stealthy, so it would have been -1 to hit anyway. It would have been a 9 up with that pistol. All right, that is the end of turn 3. The British have lost Lloyd, who is sadly there. We're going to go to turn 4, and I think turn 4 will be the final turn because we are now close enough to actually engage in real combat. Again, making mistakes here. Short range for musket is 12-inch. Long range is 24-inch. All those hits should have been factored in, or at least the range of 24 should have been factored in. Wouldn't have been misses, possibly. But in any case, yeah, we'll pick it up at the top of turn 4. All right, top of turn 4. Here's what the board looks like. Getting a bit closer. British lost Mr. Lloyd. The French are up there. And really, some of these activations are actually going to be reloads. So this is what it's going to be. I am going to, however, going to try to get Lieutenant Blanchet and Second Lieutenant Barnaby. Yeah, Second Lieutenant Barnaby to do a close combat so we can see what close combat looks like compared to shooting. Here is what I drew. So the British will have the first, possibly the first activation. So what's interesting here is that I drew an ace on the French side, which is a wild card, and it could be any card in the deck. So I'm actually going to make this a king, which allows the French to go first, followed by the British, followed by 2 French activations, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of neat that I drew the ace. Again, the ace is a wild card, and you could use that as any card, and will be played in sequence because I chose it as king. That means the French will go first. So what I think I'm going to do, really trying to figure out what to do here, because pretty much a lot of them have fired and really just need to reload. That first activation for the French will most likely be reload, because honestly, I don't want to run Matisse or Blanchet all the way up the bridge because he'll be susceptible to being attacked. He can't use his pistol. He needs to reload that. And it's a reload here. Moreau doesn't need a reload. So maybe I'm going to have him activate first and do a shoot action. And then something else after that. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to activate Moreau. He's going to shoot at... who is that? Roscoe. Yeah, we're going to shoot at Roscoe. So again, we are still on range because it's more than 12 inches. So before I was thinking, no, we are not. Okay, so short range is 12. Long range is 24. I believe anything over 12 will then be considered long range, right? If that's not correct, let me know. We're still going to treat that as long range. It is clear line of sight from Moreau to Roscoe there, so I do need an 8 up. Yeah, an 8 up. So, and hold on, Moreau. What do you have, Moreau? No, he just has Infiltrator. Okay, so I need an 8 up with Moreau. And I get it. And then we will see what happens. We get a 4. So 4 means that Roscoe is shaken. So Roscoe does get a shaken token. I think for the next game, guys, I will have some tokens printed out, or I'll buy them from Wiley Games. So we'll see that Roscoe is shaken. Sergeant Guy is wounded. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the first British activation. We are going to have Sergeant Guy, the rifleman, do a reload, but before he does that, he needs to do a recovery. Yeah, he needs to do a recovery roll to see if he can continue on. So we'll see what that recovery roll is. Yeah, so I think... So Sergeant Guy, unfortunately, has maybe not expired from his wounds, but won't allow him to continue. I'm assuming that the Wild West exit symbol here is a 1. So unfortunately, Sergeant Guy is out of action from that wound that he took. That's a bummer. The British aren't having a good time today. Okay, so we have 2 French activations next. Really, we're gonna have, let's see, we're gonna have both Laurent and Toussaint. These guys, right? Laurent and Toussaint reload. So that's it for them. We are back to a British activation. Yeah, let me figure out what's going on here. So I only have 3 activation. 3 activations left. So we'll do a reload with Roscoe here. No, not Roscoe. Sorry, Percy. And then we switch back to the British again. We're going to move him up. So what I want to do is try to get some close combat here. So let's see what happens. Okay, so for close combat, when a miniature ends its movement within 1 of an enemy, close combat occurs. This can happen even if the figure used both its actions. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to get Mr. Stealthy, Mr. Percy, up. He's going to do his double move, which will bring me into contact with Toussaint. Yeah, it's going to right there. So within 1, now we have a close combat happening here. That's pretty awesome. Let's see how a close combat works. So close combat is simple. 2 opponents both roll d10 or whatever the quality die is. So in this game, you can also, if you're poor quality, you'll have d8. If you're exceptional quality, you have a d12. Highest modified die is the winner and subtracts the loser's die roll. Okay, so what does Toussaint have? He's just a sniper. What does Roscoe have? He's just determined, so he can actually ignore. Okay, so we're gonna roll off here. So I'm gonna roll Roscoe first, and he's got an 8. And Toussaint, this guy, he's gonna roll, and he got a 2. So that means that Roscoe has won the combat. If a miniature finds itself starting its turn with 1 int, they must use the first action to close. Okay, hold on. Using the difference between the 2 rolls to give you a bonus when rolling to wound your opponent. I get a +2 to wound roll because it's 8 and 2. So let's get these out of the way. Now I'm going to roll the wound. Got 8 and 10. And that means that this guy is out of action. Boom. British are getting some retribution at this point. So that's awesome. This game actually, once I get the rules down, this game's actually going to play pretty fast. So Okay, so that was that activation. I have 2 more. Yeah, I still have these guys, but I have a number of French left. Okay, so next action is the British. We are going to, actually, I think I already reloaded with him, so I actually only have 1 more British activation, and it'll be Second Lieutenant Barnaby. We are going to go into close combat again. So, the leaders facing off. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so Second Lieutenant Barnaby has flurry of blows, fancy footwork, and gentlemen. So let's read off those keywords. Flurry of blows. Flurry of blows, if a close combat attack only causes a shaken result, fight a second round. So that's cool. But he also has fancy footwork, win ties in close combat, okay? And then he has gentlemen. When an out of action result happens in close combat, you may choose to cause a wound. Instead, this gains you 1 renown point. Okay, so here's the thing. Lieutenant Matisse Blanchette has fearsome appearance. So with fearsome appearance, any enemy that wants to attack you in close combat must first pass a regular task roll. Failure means they may not attack you, but you may choose another action. So he moved over here. Now he has to roll a 5 up. And he gets it. So now we can do close combat. All right. I guess it wasn't scary enough. Lieutenant Matisse Blanchette. So we'll just bring that up. I want it to be a little bit closer. Okay. So here is Second Lieutenant Barnaby's roll. He's got an 8. This is Lieutenant Blanchette. He's got a 6. So, Barnaby has won the combat. We are now going to get a +2. Yeah, +2 to wound. So we got 2 and 4, and the wound is shaken. So Matisse Blanchette gets a shaken token. So that's it for the British activations. This is going to be, what do I have here? I think I have 2 more French activations, I believe. So we're just going to finish off this game with close combat. We're going to have Lieutenant Blanchette attack. Close combat. She has determined, medic, fearsome appearance won't, but determined ignores shock and wound penalty. So I don't get a penalty to attacking. Normally you would if you're shaken. So he's just going to roll. Right. So we'll roll first for Lieutenant Blanchette. Gets a 6. And Barnaby gets a spade. So Matisse lost that combat. I think at this point, we're going to roll the difference. So that's a 4, right? A 4 for Barnaby to wound. I think that's how it works. If I'm doing this wrong, guys, just let me know. So we'll see what happens here. Okay, so to wound with a 4. Matisse has been taken out. That's it for the leader of the French. He did fight well, but not well enough. Okay, last activation. This guy right here. He's just going to move into close combat. Okay, so this is Laurent, I guess. Gets 4. And then Barnaby gets a 1. So Barnaby loses that combat. That's a 3 to wounding. I get, yep. Okay. So yeah, guys, that was an interesting game. Barnaby gets killed by one of the scrubs here. At this point, we have 3 losses on the British side, 2 losses on the French. Obviously, this is going to be a French victory, but we are cutting it a little short. Again, this was just a learning game, and I made a lot of mistakes. I'm hoping on the next learning game, where I spin in more of the rules, it'll be more exciting. But anyway, it's nice to get some sort of Napoleonics on the channel. Hopefully this is something that you guys are interested in, because I will definitely be doing more horse and musket. And a few things that I learned just through this playthrough. Range, short for musket is 12 inch, long is 24 inch. Keywords are important. Marking my figures, very important, because it makes it very confusing to figure out who is who. Unfortunately, a lot of these figures that I painted were actually for Song of Drums and Shakos. So I didn't mark them in any special way. I think with Horse and Musket, or basically Fistful of Lead, I would have to make my figures more characterful and unique so that I have a better chance of tracking who's who and what they've done. So in any case, great fun with this. It was quick playing. Can be devastating if you hit the right rolls. I'll try to get some normal dice next time, normal D10, so it's easier to read the results. But I think all in all, definitely going to continue playing Horse and Musket on the channel. So if you like this video, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new Horse and Musket battle reports coming out of the channel. And then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That is the best way I could personally interact with you and chit-chat to you about Wily games, Horse and Musket, and any other game that we cover on the channel. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Horse and Musket battle reports from Wargaming Noob Historical.